Very bad joke.
Thank you.
All right. So I guess it's happy birthday to the world. It's Chafei Elul. That's the birthday of the world. 5,780 years ago, the world was created. Tomorrow.
First day.
Yeah, first day. So, but we celebrate on the sixth day because this is when human being was created, which is the whole purpose of the world. So everything before was just, preparing the red carpet. So, but in truth,
Rosh
that's the
Hashanah corresponds to the sixth day.
the sixth day. The sixth day.
So the second day of Rosh Hashanah is the first Shabbos.
The second day was the first Shabbos, right? Yeah, exactly. So this is really the birthday, right? But no birthday cake, sorry. We are studying the book of Shmuel, first book of Shmuel. We are in chapter 14, verse 13, and let's just take a little bit of an inventory of where we are. So, in the course of dealing with the governor of the Philistines in Israel, the son of Saul, Jonathan, ended up killing him. There was a conflict that was not planned, and he killed him. The Philistines would not take it lying down, and they decided to retaliate. They sent 36,000 professional soldiers, plus tens or hundreds of thousands of other people that can fight, and they parked right here in near Bet Aven, near Michmash, closer to Michmash, which is in the center of the map that I have here, and Saul gathered his amazing troops, which was a total of 600 versus over 100,000 easy, and he was parked in Geva. The distance between the two camps was, my estimation, between a mile or 2 miles aerial distance.
No, look at the map. It's kilometers, right?
It's kilometers, right?
So it looks like about 3 kilometers.
3 kilometers, which is 2 miles, yeah. So, yeah. So a couple of miles in between, and the 36,000 had included 3 special squadrons of people that their whole mission in life is to destroy other people's property. That's mashchit, the destroying squadron. So 3 of them, and they went to work. They went east and west and north, and they started destroying everything in their way. And the 2 camps were stations that far apart. However, in between there was a creek or gorge that was very, very steep. The walls, there was cliff on both sides. And they did not want to park close to each other, so they can't. The other side does not see exactly what you do. So they sent a platoon of people. Especially the Philistines sent a platoon of people, something like 20 people or so, to the front line, to the edge of the gorge, to oversee, to see what's happening with the Jews. To scout. The Jews were hiding under trees, not even in houses, under pomegranate trees, very appropriate for Rosh Hashanah, right? They were hiding under a pomegranate tree, and they were waiting. Shaul was waiting there. He didn't feel that he's able with 600 people to go attack a well-equipped army with that had weapons. The Jews did not have weapons, but they were not allowed to have weapons. There was an embargo on weapons. They were not allowed to have anything that's made out of iron. So they had basically very, very little to work with. And the Philistines had the best army in the area with the best equipment in the area. So they were treading carefully. They didn't want a full-fledged war because they they were deriving a lot of benefits from the Jews. They were exploiting the Jewish people. They had slaves or people who worked for them. I don't know if it's exactly slaves, but they taxed the Jewish people in a heavy way. So they didn't want to break everything just because one guy died, and but they were there, but they were not starting yet. Yonatan, who caused this whole commotion, wasn't really feeling comfortable in the Jewish camp because they were rebuking him for starting this whole mess. So he and his helper were walking around, and Yonatan told his helper, "Let's go see what's going on the other side. Let's go scout and let's see if we can spy on them, somehow see what's going on." And it's all ideas that came to him from, God sent those ideas to him. He didn't plan anything. He wasn't ready to go and start a war on his own as one person. But he decided to go and scout, and he said, let's see if our mission is going to be successful. We'll make a sign. Okay, which we discussed last time, how he's allowed to make a sign, but whatever, let's make a sign. He apparently felt that it's more logical to feel the mood in the other camp by causing some provocations, very small provocation. What was he planning to do? He said, let's reveal ourselves as we're going down the creek, the gorge. Let's reveal ourselves to the enemy, and we'll hear what they're telling us. If they're going to say, "Come on top of us or over us, come on up, Jews," we'll know that that's the sign from God that we're going to be able to climb up and overcome them. And if they're going to say, "Stay where you are, we're coming down to you," that means that it's not time to fight them. That was the sign that they make for themselves. So they revealed themselves. And the Philistines started laughing. Oh, the Jews are coming out of their holes, because everybody was terrified and was literally hiding in holes in the ground. So they were starting to laugh. Oh, the Jews started coming out of the ground, out of the holes. And come on up. We'll give you a message. We'll tell you something. So at that moment, Yonatan understood that they're very, on the one hand, they're sure of themselves. On the other hand, they're afraid. And also that God is going to be with us and will allow us to go over there and overcome them. That's what he understood. So that's where we stop, just as a summary. So, Vayal Yonatan al yadav al raglav. So, Yonatan was in his v'nosek elav acharav. So, Yonatan and his helper were down in the creek, at the bottom of the creek. And the scouting unit of the Philistines were on the other side, very high up, and it was a straight up wall. So what do? You climb. You climb like a rock climber. What do rock climbers use? They use their hands and their feet. So that's what he did. Vayal Yonatan al yadav al raglav. He used his hands and his feet to climb up the rocks. V'nosek elav acharav, and the helper came with him. Vayiplu lifnei Yonatan v'nosek elav memotet acharav. Wow! And because it was a small unit, and they were fairly far away from the camp was about a mile or mile and a half back, and the small unit had 20 people or so. So it makes sense that, with some help from God, that 2 people can overcome 20. It's not outlandish. It's a miracle, but it happened before in several Hollywood movies. So they started fighting together, and they were successful. ותהי המכה הראשונה אשר היכה יונתן ונושק אליו. So the first strike that occurred over there, that Yonatan was able to smite them together with his helper, 20 people, כ-20 איש, כבחצי מענה צמד שדה. they're 20 people in a very small square footage. What is the small square footage? It's being defined as follows. What?
Half a furrow of a pair of eyes.
So it says half a furrow, a couple of axes are. It's a plow. It's a double plow. A plow with two. There's a plow of one. There's a plow with two. So that's wider. So a furrow is they had a certain distance that they would plow before they turn around and go to the other side. So half of that distance, which is a very small, it's a small area, because a furrow, even if you have two oxes or whatever, so two animals standing side by side, it's not that wide, and the distance was not wide. That's one explanation. An explanation that is saying that this is a double furrow that one farmer can plow in half a day. That's the half. In half a day worth of plowing, which again, it's not a single farmer. It's not tremendous amount, and it's they can help each other. They can touch each other. Nonetheless, the battle was such that Yonatan was successful. Now, let's imagine what's going on now. Okay, we are in the middle of the day, right? So you can see afar. The main camp is full of people. 3 squadrons are missing. Those are the destroying squadrons that went on their merry way to wreak havoc on the Jewish land. But they're basically seeing from afar. They're seeing the scouting unit. And they saw that something is happening over there, but they couldn't see really because it's a couple of miles, a mile and a half, two. It's they didn't have binoculars, so they couldn't. But suddenly they saw commotion. They saw something is happening, some movements, and they got inexplicable anxiety. They suddenly felt fearful and anxious and unsettled, and it was vatihi charada b'machane. They right away felt some anxiety. B'machane b'sadeh b'chol ha'am. Now the anxiety was not only the people who saw the commotion, because it couldn't have been that everybody saw the commotion. Everybody was feeling this anxiety. The entire camp and the people who were in the field. And all of the other people, all of the additional soldiers or additional mob that was accompanying them, that was ready to follow the army and to scoop up whatever the army, whatever the army leaves in its wake. So all of them together, which was about 100 or at least 100, if not 150,000 people, started feeling anxiety. As now, not only those people who were there in the camp, so the scouting unit, obviously, they were closer, so they were very fearful, but also the destroying squadrons. Those 3 squadrons that went far away, they started their journey earlier that morning, and they started creating problems, and they were far away, and they also suddenly got this, sinking feeling that something is wrong. So, and all of them chardu, they all had anxiety, gam hema. Vatirgaz haaretz v'tihilech irdat Elokim. So, the whole land was angry. The whole place was shaking. The whole place felt ominous, And v'tihilech irdat Elokim, and they were all were expecting the worst. They didn't know exactly what is going on. It's not like there was rain. It's not like there was the clouds or storm. Nothing. They just got the fear of God in them. ויראו הצופים לשאול בגבעת בנימין והנה המון נמוג וילך והלום. Now, imagine thousands of people who are in a temporary camp and they're all starting to be anxious. It's called in Hebrew balagan. They're all starting to move around, and the sounds and so the scouting unit, the Jewish scouting unit, identified that. They saw it was easier to see because you have a few tens of thousands or 100,000 people going bananas, 2 miles away. It has a sound, you hear it. And they saw that the size of the army is melting away, just like smoke that starts to gather. They heard when you have hundreds, tens of thousands of swords that are trying to hit each other. That's a sound that you can hear far away. So that's what they saw. That there is again, they couldn't see exactly, but they sense that something is going on over there. So Shaul right away understood that somebody was causing this. Was trying to figure out what's going on. So he took an inventory of the people. He took, who's here, attendance. Let's see who left us. Because he felt that it's something that was someone from their camp. Now, it's not that complicated to take attendance of 600 people when they're divided to platoon, to units, whatever. So very quickly they figured out Vine and Yonatan that 2 people are missing. That Yonatan and his helper were missing. ויאמר שאול לאחיה, הגישה ארון האלוקים. So, as we mentioned last time, I believe, Shmuel, who was the judge of the day, lost his faith in Shaul, and he was very upset with him for not listening, and he basically left and left him to its own devices. Saul felt that he needs something, and he summoned the ark from where the ark was parked at the time, which was Kiryat Anavim. He was calling the ark with the Kohanim, with the handlers of the ark, the Kohanim, the Levim. He was making sure that it's around him because he needed some support, some spiritual support. Now, with the ark comes the Kohen Gadol, which was at the time Achia, which was the great-grandson of Eli Kohen. And with that, he also brought the breastplates. The breastplates were the device, the Enigma device that would help him communicate with God and ask him some questions. Now, at one point, we went through the whole sequence of how to ask the breastplates. It was a whole sequence of events. They needed to say things and to do things and to ask it in a certain way and to pray before. And it wasn't just like you can't just Google, you type and press enter. It was more complicated than that.
Wasn't this a risky move because it wasn't that many years earlier that when they brought the ark out in front, they lost the ark.
Right. Now, Shaul, during that war, that when they lost the ark, Shaul was the one to rescue the tablets. And Shaul lived through the fact that 7 months later, the Philistines didn't want the ark because it caused too much trouble. So he felt comfortable that they're not going to repeat that mistake again and capture the ark, even if they had an opportunity. So he felt that it's okay to bring it along. So Shaul speaks to the high priest Achia and tells him, come, bring over the ark. It doesn't really mean the ark because the ark is there. He means the breastplate. Because the Ark of the Covenant and all of the surrounding equipment, including the breastplate, were together with the Jewish army at the time, on that day. So, because it took some time to prepare the breastplates and to prepare the priest has to prepare himself and to settle and before asking, it took too long. They couldn't. There was not the events of the day were were too fast moving for them to be able to ask the breastplates. ויהי עד דיבר שאול אל הכהן. So while Shaul was talking to the priest and start to, explain to him what he is asking, what he wants, should we go to war, should we attack, what should we do now? וההמון אשר במחנה פלישתים וילך הלוך ורב. So what happened is that the Philistines, they identified that the Philistines were really, some real trouble are happening over there, and the people are really moving around and running around, and the chaos in that camp is really increasing. So Shaul decided, you know what, this is a sign that, they should not be waiting. ויאמר שאול אל הכהן אסוף ידיך. So he told, let's cancel this session. Shaul told the high priest, we're not asking now. Just collect your belongings, move on. I have my answer already. I'm not going to wait to ask the breastplates. Which we'll see later sort of caused him a little bit of, it caused him some problems, and this is demonstrating again the how sure he was of himself, and he made decisions. He made decisions that are not necessarily to his benefit all the time. The war here was won by the Jews, so he wasn't punished for that, but it was with a little bit of a squeak, and we will see what was the squeak. It was a pretty significant one. So Shaul told the high priest, move on. I have my answers. ויזעק שאול וכל העם אשר איתו ויבואו עד המלחמה. So Shaul collected the 600 people, and they crossed the creek, and they went to where the war was, where the battle was. Until now, the battle was internal battle. Who was on the other side? Jonathan and his helper, and a whole bunch of Philistines who are anxious and going crazy at each other because they don't know what's going on. Now, they were not well organized in that sense, because you had a lot of, you can imagine that the units, the professional units, were organized and they knew each other, but the mob didn't know each other and didn't know the soldiers. So when the mob is mixing up with the professional soldiers, they don't know who's friend or foe and who's foe, and that started killing each other, hurting each other because of that. So they got the Shaul and the 600 people crossed the gorge and came to where the battle was. And they saw that basically the Philistines are doing the job for them. They're killing each other, and there was a big chaos, big mehuma, big balagan. והעברים היו לפלישתים כתמול שלשום, אשר עלו עמהם במחנה סביב, וגם הם עליות עם ישראל, אשר עם שאול ויונתן. So, the Philistines, as we mentioned before, were using free labor, or very cheap labor, from the Jewish people. So they had, as they were coming to fight us, they also brought their helpers, which are Jews, Jewish people that were working for them, and they had no say in the matter. They were under their thumb. They didn't have any way to protect themselves. What? Slaves. Yeah, almost slaves. They're not called slaves, but they're all very close to. So you had in that camp, where the mob was, and where the professional soldiers were, there were also Jewish people there. And the Jewish people, as they saw Saul coming in with the soldiers, and they realized that something went wrong, with the CPU of the Philistines, they're a little bit off. So they joined in with Saul and Jonathan. Jonathan was reunited with Shaul was reunited with his son Jonathan, and they started leading the army together. And the slaves, the Jewish slaves that were with the Philistines, join in, and they turn their backs on their masters. And again, because the whole land felt something, instantaneously, everybody felt something. Even the squadrons that they were far away, same thing, the Jewish people who were further away also started hearing something. So all of the people, all of the Kol Ish Israel, who were hiding in the holes and in the caves and in the creeks and in all the areas that were running away from the Philistines, they're running away from their homes because they knew that the destroying squadrons are on the way, and they didn't want to be burned with their homes, so they ran away. But they heard that something is going on, and so they rejoined Saul. So from 600, suddenly he had all of the slaves, and suddenly he had a lot of the people that ran away, that there were at least 3,000 soldiers, because that's the original number of soldiers that Saul and his son had, plus all the other people who were not soldiers. So they all came. Shamu kinasu plishtim vayadbeku gam hema achrehem hamilchama. So they were basically chasing the Philistines. The Philistines started running away, and anybody who was joining the Jews, the Jewish part of the army, were chasing them. Vayosha Hashem bayom et Israel v'hamilchama avra et Bet Aven. So God saved us on that day. The Philistines killed each other. We helped them. We helped them and also whacked them. And the war passed away from Bet Aven. Bet Aven is the original town that they started gathering at, north of Michmash, and we basically were chasing them, and they were going back towards the sea to their towns, running away, and we were chasing them.
Sounds like they won the fight without firing a shot.
Exactly. That's exactly what happened. They didn't have anything to shoot with, so there was no iron, no bullets, nothing. So now we are going to dive into a somewhat unusual situation that everybody is sort of asking, well, what happened here? Ve'ish Israel nigash bayom hahu. So the people, the Jewish people, nigas bayom hahu. I'm sorry, Israel nigas bayom hahu. Now, what is nigas bayom hahu? What is nigas? The word nigas appeared again one more time in the Torah at the time of Egypt. Hanuksim. What were the Nuksim? The Nuksim were the people who were the capos, the Egyptian cops who were forcing the Jews to work in Egypt. They're called the Nuksim. What happened here is the Philistines also had Nuksim. They also had people who forced them to fight. This was common in those days in armies to have the police right behind the front line, and anybody who turns around, they shoot them. Or they hit them. They don't let people run away. So they were forced to fight, and the Jews were fighting against them. Throughout this battle, which was raging, and there was a lot of walking done and a lot of chasing done, ויואל שאול את העם לאמור, ארור האיש אשר יאכל לחם עד הערב, וניקמתי מאויבי ולא טעם כל העם לחם. Let's just translate it. So Shaul decided, Vayoel, we'll talk about what Vayoel means in a second. Shaul decided that he cannot take chances that the Jewish people will somehow reduce the pressure of fighting, because they will see that they didn't need to do anything, and it's all like made for them. And the Philistines ran away, and the Jews were not that brave. They were coming out of their holes, literally. So very quickly, it will be easy for them to say, oh, okay, we're done, without finishing the job. So he did not want them to retreat and to pause. He wanted to v'nikamti mi'ovai. He wanted to how do you say v'nikamti nekama? Revenge. He wanted to avenge all of the troubles that they imposed on us. All the Philistines imposed on us. He wanted to kill them, to finish them. So he imposed a moratorium. He imposed on the people a restriction not to eat that day. Not to eat bread, he says. Until the evening, no food, no parties. Don't say, let's raise a cup, we're winning the battle. No. You're not going to taste anything. You're not going to taste bread until we finish the battle. And the people listened and they didn't eat bread. So now, let's dig a little bit deeper here and see what's going on. So Vayoel Shaul, Vayoel is the word coming from the word Allah. Allah means a curse.
Oath, no?
An oath, but it's a curse. Allah. Lashon Allah. That's what Rashi says. And in some other places it means an oath, but it's an oath that is a strong oath. Now, he told them not to eat bread. So the question is, one of the questions is it only bread, like a meal? Bread represents a meal. Can they have, a little bit of pizza on the way? Can they have something quick? Or yes or no? It seems that not. At least, maybe he didn't say it, but the people accepted it as such. Okay, we're not going to eat anything. They were fasting. In years past, at the time when we were conquering the land with Joshua, there were several battles that were very, very holy to begin with, like the battle on Jericho, right? And people would fast that day. The day of the battle, people would fast. One of the reasons we're mentioning this here, because we'll see later that it wasn't such a good idea to fast during the battle, and to teach us forever not to fast in a battle. We're allowed to eat, and we're allowed to eat a lot, and we're allowed to eat not kosher. We're allowed to eat. It's incredible. During the war, soldiers are allowed to eat pork.
Never did.
What? That's the halakha. If they don't have anything else and they don't have any way, they're allowed to eat non-kosher food. That's the halakha. And Ram clear Shulchan Aruch as well. So Saul made them all swear. Now the question is, why? What's the point of making them swear? He can tell them that this is the decree of the king, and they have to listen to it without being sworn to it. Why didn't he do that? And also, there is a very strong question that usually swearing has to involve the name of God. The difference between a swearing and a vow, it's a neder and a shvuah. Says one is with the name of God and one is without. And shvuah is stronger. When someone swears, it's stronger because it has the name of God involved. And there is no name of God here mentioned that he did it with. And also, the people has to say, I accept that vow. I cannot say, I impose something on you and you have to agree to it, right? Even with the name of God, so it's not understandable what was happening here, and why. So there is a commentary that on the Torah we all know, the Orach Chaim HaKadosh, Reb Chaim ben Attar, very very amazing commentary, and he doesn't have much on Tanakh, just here and there. And this section is a piece that he has a lot on. He doesn't have before that on Shmuel anything, and I don't know if later he has anything. But on this piece, he has a very, very interesting section. So everything that we learn today will be very much according to his explanation. So So what he's saying is as follows, that when a king is allowed to make decrees, but the decrees that the king make has to be followed by the people, otherwise they lose their importance. He cannot, if somebody doesn't listen to a king, the king can kill them. Now what if the entire country doesn't listen to the king? He's not going to kill all the people. So they all have to listen. So they all have to agree. Now he was afraid that just like they ran away, they came from holes, they're going to run back to the holes. And they're going to disappear on him, because he saw them disappearing on him already once. So he wanted to create something that is stronger, that even when they don't see him in front of his eyes, in front of their eyes, they are going to have the understanding that they can do something. And if they're not going to eat, they'll understand that it's an important moment and they need to join the army. They can't just go to their family or to go look for what happened to their house. So he was looking to do something that will cause them to fear, to be fearful and not to leave the platoon, not to leave the battle. And he also, according to the Orach Chaim, he did do it properly with the name of God and all of that. It's just that it's obvious to him that they did it right, because otherwise nothing works here. It's just that it was not important for us to know it, but according to the Orach Chaim, it's that's what they did. He was giving them a very strong, made them promise, and that they're not going to leave, not going to run away. And he also says that even if he didn't use the name of God, when there is such a strong event, such a strong swearing by the king, even without the name of God, it has importance, because the people are not necessarily so knowledgeable as to the exact laws of when and how and what language. When they saw the king saying that, it's enough for the rabbis to stand behind it and say, even if it's not from the Torah, swearing from the Torah, it's from the rabbis, it's enough for us to enforce it, because we don't want that next time, when it's done properly, people say, we didn't listen to it then, and it's not important, I'm not going to listen to it now. So it was done in a proper way. But what did he say? He said, don't eat anything. Now what happens next? Next, they're walking through a lot of food. V'chol haaretz ba'u bayar. So all of the Jewish people went to a forest throughout, as they were running down, chasing down the Philistine. They passed through a forest. Va'id dvash al pnei hasadeh. And there was honey all around the field. Amazing that we're right before Rosh Hashanah, and there aren't that many stories about honey. And exactly now we're falling on this story with the honey. Amazing. So there was honey all over. Now, there are several opinions whether it was a real honey or it was just some sweet sap from like sugar cane. But either way, it was all over. So the people were walking through it. Now they didn't need much in order to eat the honey. Usually the honey is in the hives and you have to take it out. It's a process. You can't just pass by and taste the honey. But here it was oozing. Everywhere was oozing the honey. That's why the Rashi and some others are saying it's not real honey, because it's not natural. It's more of a sap, very sweet sap that came from sugar canes.
Sugar maple. Sugar
What?
maple tree.
Maple tree, I don't know. Yeah, it's not in Canada though. So it was very easy to, as you walk, to with the finger take a schmear, and taste the honey. And none of the people did it. Because they were so fearful of the swearing that Saul made with them, the agreement, and he scared them half to death. not to do it, so they didn't put anything in their mouths. Now, it is the halacha that when someone is swearing not to eat something, they should not drink either. Okay? However, if we are going according to the opinion that it was sap, that usually sugar cane is solid, but now because of some reason it was hot or is miracle, whatever, it was dripping, it was liquid. So it's not really a form of food in its natural state. So are you allowed to eat that? Some say yes, that you're allowed to eat. So we will see next when Yonatan didn't hear that and didn't listen to it and did eat, that he didn't really do much harm because it's not really food. If you put if you put in your mouth dirt or leaf or something that you're not usually eating, that's not a problem when if someone is fasting, typically. ויונתן לא שמע בהשביע אביו את העם. So Yonatan didn't hear because he was separated from he was ahead. He was separated from the rest of the crew. He wasn't there. He didn't hear when his father was performing this shvuah, this swearing in of the people not to eat. And therefore, even if the rest of the people would say yes, amen, he wasn't there to say it, so he didn't accept it, so he wasn't obligated. He knew about it. He knew about it from others, as we see later that he was trying not to eat, but he felt really, really, really weak and bad to a point where he became blind, or felt that he's blinding because he couldn't see from not having nourishment, not having anything in his stomach. So so he didn't sit and eat. He didn't have a whole meal. He didn't eat bread. He was just with the tip of the staff was touching the sap or touching the honey. אשר בידו, וישלח קצה המטה אשר בידו, ויטבול אותה ביערת הדבש. And he dipped it in the יערת הדבש, in the how does it translate? בקנה הדבש, in the bamboo or the how do you call the
nectar?
the
Nectar of the cane.
It's not the nectar. The cane. It was in the nectar, in the nectar that was in the cane. וישב ידו על פיו וטעון עיניו. And he put.
It was sugar cane.
It was sugar cane. Yeah. He was taking. He took back the hand, put it in his mouth, and he started seeing again. So there is in the Gemara mentions, I don't know if there is a condition like that nowadays, but it used to be a condition. It's called bulmus. When someone cannot control themselves, and it causes, if they don't eat, it causes them harm, all kinds of crazy harm. And that's why a pregnant woman is allowed to eat on Yom Kippur. If she can't handle it, she has to eat, because it can cause other harm to her or the baby. So he was in such a situation that he was about to lose his eyesight. So he took a taste, he tasted. So it's not, a taste is allowed, and he didn't hear, and he didn't say yes. I mean, there are many, many reasons why he wasn't terrible.
Well, why didn't we even hear it? He didn't hear about the shvuah,
So he didn't hear when it happened, but he heard later. He heard that there was such a thing. So what happened? This is why. The next sentence. ויען איש מהעם ויאמר השבע השביע אביך את העם לאמור ארור האיש אשר יאכל לחם היום ויעפם. So this man took upon himself the opportunity. Listen, if you, the son of Saul, is not listening to what he's saying, maybe we can too. We also are tired. We also are hungry. We also want, and we are here, we're not going to sit and have a whole barbecue with the honey, It's just a little bit of a taste. So please tell us, did you did know, right? That your father was made us all swear and gave us a very strong curse if we touch that honey. So maybe you can find a reason for us also to eat. Vayomer Yonatan, this is an amazing answer. that's really not so easily understood. Yonatan was bad-mouthing that decision of his father to prevent the people from eating. He said it's a bad decision. Achar avi et haaretz. Achar is made it dirty. You know, my father made a bad decision. It's really not right, because when we are in a battle, as we mentioned before, you're allowed to eat not kosher food. Definitely you're allowed to eat a little bit of honey. That, you know, it's not human. It's not right. It's not right for the purpose. He wanted to create as much damage at the Philistines by keeping the army together. Give them some food. You know, we all know that the army is functioning on the stomach, right? So it will be better for you, Mr. Saul, my father. You know, the mission will be accomplished better if the people can eat. So he said it was a bad decision. Now,
Is he saying this to himself?
he's saying it to the person who was telling him, why are you eating? Your father said not to eat. And, you know, if you can, maybe I can too. So he told him, really, it's a bad decision. Countermanding his father, kibud avehem, and it's a king, and it's a whole discussion how dare he did it and what exactly he did. And later on we see that Saul, when he was becoming friendly with David, to the dismay of his father, he was calling him Ben Ahavat Mardut. You're a rebel, you know, a rebel kid.
Threw a spear at him.
Through a spear, right? Because you're a rebel kid. This is when it started. It started here when he was criticizing, when Yonatan was criticizing Saul's decision. Re'una ki yoru enai. He told Yonatan, see, my eyes, I couldn't see well, and now after I just ate a little bit, I can see. Ki ta'amti me'at dvash, because I just tasted just that very little. Now, in his answer, he was answering the man, listen, you should not be eating. Because do you have a problem with your eyesight? And is it enough for you just to taste? If the answer is no, you should not be eating. Okay? I had a problem, I had a medical problem, and I didn't really eat, I just tasted, and that was enough to overcome my medical problem. Okay. It's not a good decision, but, you know, you should not be eating. But then he continues to justify why he was able to eat. אף כאילו אכול אכל העם היום העם ישלל אויביו אשר מצא כי אתה לא רבת מכה בפלישתים. So he says, if the people would eat at that day, today, that will help the whole reasoning, that will help the whole battle. That will support what Shaul wanted to accomplish. So you should really, you know, not worry about the fact that I ate. Anyway, we'll leave it at here, at that for now, and.